Hey YouTube, this is the Death Scouter making another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Cobra Model 75 WX-ST all enclosed, all-in-one handheld CB radio. So 75 is the model number, WX means it has weather channels, ST means it has sound tracker technology. Ooh, we'll talk about what that means in a minute. There's a lot of buttons, a lot of features on here that are pretty nice. I think there is, from my experience with people in general, they turn the radio on, they know how to change stations, they know how to push to talk, and beyond that, the CB radio, isn't used for any of the other features that it offers. So I'm going to make this little short video. I promise I'll be done in just a few minutes, showing you how to get some value out of the 75. So we'll start with the volume control wheel that is also the on-off switch. So we scroll that. Volume on this radio is not great. I always operate mine at full volume. I'm going to show you a little trick. This radio comes in two pieces, right? So this is all the handheld and this is the brains, but the connection to the antenna and the connection to the power source comes from a small little junction box that I have mounted behind my glove box. It's about 2 inches by 3 inches square. Off of that box is a plug that is just like the phono plug of headphones, and this phono plug that is the aux input of your car stereo. If you get a phono plug to phono plug cable, you can plug from the box in the back into this, set your stereo to aux, and you can actually listen to your CB through the speakers in your vehicle. Now, when would you want to do something like that? Maybe if you're driving down the road with the top off and there's a lot of wind noise and you're afraid you're not going to hear this little speaker, you can go ahead and use your car stereo for that. The drawback is you can only listen to your CB when you plug in that way. So, no tunes, just CB. Alright, the second wheel that most people do not know how to use, or they often misuse, is squelch. Squelch means you're going to squelch down or suppress background noise or weak signal. So you turn this thing all the way down, you hear all that static. Your goal is to rotate that knob just to the point that the static ends. If you go too far, if you set your squelch too high, what you're doing is you're blocking out signals below a certain signal strength level. So maybe you have somebody who's 3/4 of a mile behind you, their signal is weaker than the person who's directly behind you. If the person far behind you speaks, you may not hear them because you've squelched out the lower signal range. So for best performance, turn that wheel just to the point that the static stops and not any farther. Alright. Next thing you'll notice, we have 4 buttons across the top. There's something printed on each button, plus there's something printed below each button. May complicate you, or complicate your perception of this radio, but I assure you there's nothing complicated about it. These are memory buttons, M1, M2, M3, M4. You can scroll through, and I will pick channel 20, for example, and I will say, press and hold the memory button until you hear a beep. Oh, I did it wrong. How about that? If you press and hold the memory button, you will actually change the display setting from the CB channel number to the actual frequency that you're speaking on, which is pretty helpful if you're ever talking to people that have two-way radios. Not necessarily CB radios, but they want to know what frequency you're going to talk to. You can tell them exactly what their frequency is by doing that little trick. To set the memory, it's a one press of the memory button, and then press and hold the 1, 2, or 3, 4 button until it beeps, and then it'll show you that your station now is locked into memory number 2. Okay, so memory settings, pretty simple. If you ever want to go, let me scroll to another number. And if I ever want to get back, I just click memory once, press the button once, and I'm right back. So memory and press and hold to set it, memory and press to switch back and forth to the channel. Speaking about switching back and forth to the channel, there's two different buttons on here that do that. You'll see underneath this channel says channel 9/19. Channel 9 is traditionally the police channel or the emergency channel where you would call and ask for help. And 19 is traditionally the trucker channel. So with a push of your button, you're going to toggle from the station that you were on to channel 9. Another press of the button puts you at channel 19. And with another press of the button, you go back to the channel that you were on, which for me was channel 20. So you can scroll through 3 different channels manually just by pressing that button. That's pretty neat. One of the other features that I think is really great on this radio is this button that's marked DW. This means dual watch. Now imagine that you've gone to the off-road park and you got a group of people and you decide to split into 2 groups. One of you may want to speak on, let's pick a channel, let's say channel 24, and the other group would like to speak on channel 30. So you set your channel and you press the dual watch button until it beeps. Then you go channel up until you get to channel 30, and you press the dual watch button again, holding it till it beeps. And now what you see is the radio is toggling back and forth between those 2 stations until it hears a signal that hits a certain strength. It stops on that station so you can listen. If the signal ever fades down, it will go back to toggling back and forth between those stations. So if you've got 2 groups of people, actually this was a bad selection because it keeps bouncing on 30. There it is. You see it's going to 24 and back. So if you ever got a group of people that maybe 2 different people, 2 different groups on 2 different channels, but you still want to talk to both or listen for both, dual watch is a really, really cool feature. All right. The next button that you can use is this scan button. Scan works just as you would expect on your radio. You press scan and it starts scrolling through the stations. I say stations, it's really channels. Keep going through the channels until it finds a signal that's high enough for you to stop and listen to. Okay. Now, this last button is pretty neat. We said that the model number of this radio was WXST. So you can operate this radio as either in CB mode or with a push of the button into the weather channels. There's 9 weather channels available. I don't know which ones transmit in your area, but just by using the channel up and down button, you can scroll through them. But you can immediately get weather reports on your CB. And that's pretty neat. And with a push of the button, you come back out of weather mode and back into CB mode. The last button here is Sound Tracker. Sound Tracker technology is a way of modulating your signal so that it transmits a little bit more clearly. Lots of people believe that Sound Tracker is really background noise reduction, and that's only true with a little bit of background noise. So it's not really a background noise reduction. The Cobra manual will specifically tell you that Sound Tracker technology is only effective within a certain range of background noise. So if you're driving down the road, for example, and you have your top down in your Jeep and there's a lot of wind, Sound Tracker will not help you. Okay, that's too much background noise for Sound Tracker to make a difference. However, the manual also says that if you are in Sound Tracker mode, so you can turn that on and off. If you are in Sound Tracker mode and the people you're talking to are also using Sound Tracker, you should theoretically have clearer communication between the 2 of you. So I don't see any problem in turning it on. I don't know why it's not always on. Maybe there's something to this feature that I don't understand. However, this video is not about testing me on how much I know about radio technology. This is all about teaching you how to use the features that are on this beautiful little handheld model, right? And then here is your push to talk button. So channel up, channel down, push to talk. And when you push to talk, you can see what your output strength is. If you want to get your eyes close enough to read that, that'll help you. All in all, not loud volume, as I said, but also not a high power radio. So there are nicer units, but if you have a Jeep, or some other vehicle where there's not a lot of room to mount a base unit, without it getting in the way or becoming cumbersome, then this is a really good compromise between a well-featured radio and a radio that does the job good enough. This radio, these kind of mounts, like the handle mount, 19 feet of coax cable, the antenna mount, and a 3 or 4 foot fire stick antenna, which just happens to be what I use. You can get this whole setup for about $200. So if you're wondering what it takes to add a CB radio to your Jeep, and a lot of people who are Jeepers or going off-road or going trailing like to be in communication with each other, $200 is money very well spent on a nice little radio with a lot of features that we just talked about. And the last feature is, and you can see on the side here, this glow. This is a backlit LCD display, so you see these channels very well at night, and they're quite clear during the day as well. So all in all, a well-featured radio. I highly recommend it to anybody who goes off-roading a lot or caravans with their friends. And other than that, we're done. Guys, this is the Death Scouter making another video. I hope you guys found it useful and informative. As always, keep Jeeping and subscribe to my channel for more videos on end repairs. Thank you.